Hello?
Hi, hello, this is Braxton.
Yeah, this is Tommy.
Yeah, hey, this is Tommy Bryson. The call is to be recorded and potentially uploaded. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so how can I help?
Hey, so kind of a little bit of background information about my situation. So I'm 27 and I drive trucks for a living,
Okay.
and I make about $40,000 a year.
Okay.
And my wife and I, we do have a budget, but it's about to get like flipped all over the place, and I don't know if trying to seek some financial advice to maybe
Why is
see
the
if I can
budget
get
about
on
to
with
get flipped all over the place?
We are having twins in October. We're 7 months pregnant.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
She's 7 months
we're not
pregnant?
expecting it.
7 months?
7 months, yep.
And you waited until the last 2 months to call me. Wow, okay.
I mean, I've been watching your channel for a while, and then it's like, I'm trying to get some financial advice. I signed up with M1 Finance, watching your channel.
Okay.
That's how I got hooked on that.
Okay.
But it's been the last like month or so. It's like, oh, I subscribe to Tommy Bryson. I'm like, I don't want to ask him no questions, but then it's like,
yeah.
I might need some help because everything is it's starting to come down the pipe. And
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so let's see exactly where you currently are right now, okay? A budget has 4 walls, right? Those 4 walls are shelter, utilities, groceries, and lastly, transportation. So let's look at where your expenses are in these areas. And obviously, do you have any debt, by the way?
A lot of debt.
All right, so let's save that for last, okay? However, let's talk about shelter. How much do you spend on rent or mortgage? You have a rent or you have a mortgage?
So right now we rent. We did just close on a home, though. We're moving next week.
Okay. All right, so my steps, the 4 steps that I built, what they say is you get out of debt first, you save for emergencies, you start investing, and then you finally buy a home. The problem with buying a home so early on, when you're still in massive debt, and you also have a wife, and you also have, for example, kids that are about to come into this world, the expectation is, well, we got to get everything ready now because we're about to have kids, right? But then in reality, what you're doing is putting yourself in a very stressful situation because, for example, I'm guessing your wife is staying at home with the kids?
She's working right now, but it's going to be a minute before then she's not working.
Yeah, so then let's say, for example, you accidentally break a leg, and now what's going to happen?
Right.
No mortgage payments, right? You have an emergency fund?
Right. I only have about $600 in that right now.
That's a problem.
Dip into it because
it's a problem.
I had to get
it's a problem.
any dental work. I had a lot of dental work that I had to get done over the past year or so.
And you have insurance?
Bled me dry. I do.
And how much money did you spend then? What was the copay?
So, with the 2 root canals and all the cavity fillings that I had done in the past year and a half, it's about $4,000 that I paid in dental bills.
Okay, $4,000. All right, so that's nothing crazy. But let's talk about, for example, the shelter costs, right? When you bought this home, let's take this step by step here. When you bought this home, what was the reason behind it? Why you picked the home? How much did it cost, and all that stuff? How much is it? How much is the home?
So the home it's a new build condo townhouse. It was $170,000 and some change when we closed on it. And the prices have gone up significantly since then, but $170,000, and we chose to move to be closer to family. We live about 50 miles away from our houses right now, and we're from Idaho Falls. And so we decided we wanted to try to move a little closer to home, and we found a home about 20 miles closer.
How much did you put down?
I put nothing down because I used the VA home loan for it.
Wow. Okay. So 100, and you got a 15-year or a 30-year?
30-year.
Okay. So, and what's your interest rate?
Interest rate, I believe, is 2.75.
Okay, so at least you got a great rate. So, math says your payments are somewhere like around $872 per month.
Pretty close, yep.
Okay.
The principal and interest, they quoted me at like about $775-ish.
Yeah.
But that's just principal and interest. So.
Then you have insurance, you have PMI, and you also have property taxes. And you also have
property
maintenance.
taxes, yes. PMI, no, because of the VA home loan.
Okay.
The VA home loan covers the PMI, covers all that stuff. Do have homeowners insurance, however, and all that other good stuff.
All right. So, and let's say, for example, your income is $40,000, right? Is that after taxes or before taxes?
That's about after taxes. It's about 40,000.
Okay. So divided by 12, that's around $3,333. Sounds good?
Yep.
Okay. So my math says, right, whenever you're buying a home, you're supposed to be able to afford it on a 15-year mortgage where the entire, like, for example, the payments, for example, principal and interest, also the maintenance of the property, also the taxes, the insurance, all those things combined cannot exceed 33% of your monthly income. So in this case, for example, your budget for a home would be somewhere like around $1,100. Right, so you're not even like going too crazy above that, which is fine. But we also have to consider, for example, that you have no emergency fund. So although it is a newly built condo, which gives you some space, right? But if you do have maintenance to take care of, for example, the AC unit breaks down or whatever thing goes on or whatever, you want to have money for that on the side. So my advice would be, if you're going out of pocket $800, take the $300 that's extra within your budget and put that towards, for example, building a quick sinking fund for the house, just in case, but not really just yet. Utilities are gonna be, for example, light, water, let's just say an internet. So let's just say like $250 for that. Sounds good? Actually,
Well,
that might
have
change.
An HOA. Yeah, they have an HOA, and it covers the water, garbage, and Wi-Fi, which I think is interesting. So and it's a $100 HOA fee, and it covers all that
per month.
So we only have to worry about power in this case.
Okay, so let's just say let's just include the HOA into the utilities since it covers all those things, and let's just say you pay an extra $100 for light or whatever. So let's make that $200. Then you have groceries, right? Right now it's 2 of you. Eventually it's going to be 2 more of you, so that's going to be 4 people. My budget is usually, for example, $200 per person, but in this case, because it's like kids, you have formula, you have diapers, you have all these initial costs and so on. Let's just say, for example, food is going to be somewhere like around $550 per month. Does that sound like about okay?
Yeah.
Okay, $550 per month, and then you have transportation. Do you have cars that you own? Or
we don't own a car. We are making payments on a vehicle right now.
Okay, so tell me about that. How much do you spend per month on that? Is it 2 cars or 1
Too
car?
much. Just 1 car. We when I started driving truck, we got rid of her car and we went down to a 1-car family.
Okay. How much is the car per month?
It is $665 a month.
What do you drive, Ferrari? $665 per month.
I wish.
And then plus insurance?
Insurance is 61-ish per month.
$61? That's pretty good. You're 27 years old. Nice. And then maintenance on the car, do you save for that or no?
Nope, I don't pay any maintenance on that. I just put the gas in it for now. It's covered on the Toyota Care stuff.
What's the gas?
No.
Per month?
Gas is, we budget $75 a month for that.
Okay. So your car is costing you $800, the same as your home.
Yeah.
That sounds ridiculous, right? What year is this car?
It is. It's brand new with 2021.
Okay. So you bought this car knowing you were about to have a kid. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Was the excuse going into this, we need a safer car?
It was, we needed a cheaper car. Our last car was costing us $700 a month, and we traded it in, and they were able to get us a
lower payment.
Vehicle, just a lower payment per month.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Here's what I would do, right? This is a 2021 vehicle. How much do you owe on it, by the way?
About $42,000.
It's ridiculous. You can't afford this. It's 1 year of your salary. That's crazy. So here's what I would do personally. You happen to be in a market where basically things are going a little crazy because people have money in the streets. So in my case, what I would do is I would try to sell this car and cut my losses as fast as possible, or go to the dealer crying and ask, hey, can you guys return this or whatever it is, and just try to get my money back as fast as possible. Whether I sell it for $40,000, $35,000, cut myself even, or try to return this entire car and then pay it. And then I'm able to just grab some extra money, whether $3,000, $5,000, and just buy, for example, a used vehicle that's going to be running just fine for a while. A beater vehicle. Does that make sense?
Okay. It makes
Because
sense.
spending $800 a month, that's equal, for example, to what you pay in your mortgage. That's insane. I'd rather you just buy a car for cash, for example, just have gas was $75, insurance was $61. It doesn't go over $200 with you, right? That gives you a lot more money in your pocket to take care of your kids. Because the most important factor of these kids or whatever is making sure you have an emergency fund. Because Braxton, if you something happens to you, they're gonna be in trouble. Make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay. So in this case, here's what it looks like, right? It looks like we're gonna be budgeting around $1,100 for housing. Let's say $200 for utilities. Let's say $550 there for groceries. And lastly, let's say $800 for your car. That's $2,650. Right?
Right? Yeah.
Which means you should still have money left over. Because you make $3,000, yeah. So you should still have $683 left over, right? So how much but you said you have $600 in cash, right? That's all you have.
Yeah, that's all I have after all the dental crap that I had done.
Okay. Now let's talk about your debt. So we have a basic budget of what basically your foundation is, which is $2,650. The biggest thing you can do here to lower this bill, you have several choices here. Some are extreme and some are a little bit more basic. The first choice is, well, right now the car market is great for me, so I go ahead and sell this car or try to return it, cut my losses, and buy, for example, a used vehicle. Me making more money than you do, I drive a 2014 Toyota Prius that I bought for cash.
That was my first car.
Yeah, look at that. And I'm going to be riding that car until the wheels fall off, all right? That's the whole idea here. So you sell that car, you cut your losses, eliminate that monthly payment, and you buy, for example, a used vehicle. And I'm pretty sure you can find a used vehicle in your area for $3,000 to $5,000, where you feel safe, obviously, but it's not safety gimmicky, right? Any car that's not from the 90s or 80s is pretty safe, right? Because those cars back then would get into an accident, they'll be safe, but you'll be dead. However, that wouldn't be the case with new cars now. Now, that's what we have for the car situation. The other extreme thing to actually do is to sell the house. If houses are, for example, going for a lot of money, because the market is just like that right now, say if you don't feel like you're ready for a house, which right now you have a bunch of debt. What's your total debt amount, by the way, just to confirm that?
So we got that $42,000 for car. I've got about $3,900 in credit card debt. And then my wife carried over some medical expenses from her previous marriage of about $10,000.
That's not bad.
No.
Yeah. So $10,000 in medical expenses or $10,000 total?
$10,000 in the medical debt, $3,900 for the credit card debt.
Okay, so we're talking about $14,000 almost in the consumer debt, basically. And then the car, we can just sell that and get rid of it. So that puts you at around $1,400. Yeah, $14,000. So here, the extreme version is you sell the house, you take the profit, and you basically pay off your debt, and you kind of settle down until you can actually afford a house. But if you don't want to do that, the other method is basically you keep the house, you sell the car, that lowers your entire your monthly payment by almost $600. So the car expense is only around $200. That saves you $600. And since you should already have, for example, on a fixed budget, a bare bone budget, $683 left over plus $600, that should leave you left over around $1,268. $1,283, something like that, right? Now with that money, that means, for example, in a year and a half, you're fully debt free.
Oh, really?
Consumer debt. Not the mortgage, though. The thing that's going to stop you the most here is this crazy car. You got to get rid of this car. Because look at this, right? If you add, if you say $14,000, but right now on a bare bone budget, by the way, this means when I say bare bone, I mean, for example, just shelter, utilities, grocery, transportation. Everything else, you cut it out. Everything else is not a necessity. You cut it out, right? That should leave you over with $683. You and your wife have to be on the same page with this stuff. All that money that's left over, save $1,000 for emergencies in case anything happens. So just add $400 to your little emergency fund of $600. You have that money on the side. But all the rest of the money, you put it towards debt. Now, the way I pay debt is called the avalanche method. You pay the debt with the highest APR. In this case, it would be the credit card first, and then work myself down to the medical bills. Does that make sense? But potentially, the medical bills, if they're in collections, you can negotiate those potentially. Are they in collections or no?
They're not.
Okay, okay, so they're not collect. At least that's not gonna ruin your credit score. But you already have a house, so who cares? But if they were in collection, you could negotiate them. If you want to pay them for what they are right now, that's fine. Because for example, $14,000, but you have $683 left over after you're done with your budget. But once you get rid of this car, you have an extra $600. That's $1,200 cash left over after you're done with your living expenses, taking care of your kids. That means, for example, if you divide 14,000 by 1,200 in 12 months, basically, you should be fully debt free. And then the only thing to think about is basically, okay, I'm debt free. What do I do next? You save a full 3 to 6 months worth of emergencies. So if anything were to happen, that way you're safe. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So once you have a full emergency account, and by the way, that money, you want to have it separate so you're not tempted to dig into it, right? Mm-hmm. So you put that money, for example, I personally like Wealthfront, but you can have it in any bank that's separate and takes 3 days to get the money over there and 3 days to get the money back. That way you're not tempted to use that money for the wrong things. Once you're done with the emergency account, you work yourself towards actually investing. I know you told me, Tommy, I'm in finance because of you. I don't want you to invest right now because right now you're in debt and you have kids coming along. So you got to worry about that. That's your priority. And you shouldn't be investing if you make $100 over there, but then, for example, it's costing you money over here on the debt. It just cancels out and it makes no sense. How much money do you have in your investment account right now?
I've got $2,400 between ACORNs and M1 Finance.
Okay, are these in retirement accounts or taxable accounts?
Not 100% sure. Every time I get paid, I just throw it in.
Okay, a retirement account would be, for example, Roth IRA.
Not a retirement.
Okay, good. So, me personally, okay, I'm telling you what I would do in your shoes. Since right now is not the perfect time to be investing, I would consider this, right? If I can take if I can cash out on this $2,400, $2,000 that I actually have on the side, cash out, start back at zero, but use that money to save $1,000 for emergencies. The other $2,000 potentially, once you're rid of this car, if you have any money left over, use that money right there to buy yourself a vehicle to get back on the road.
Okay.
All right, that's what I would do. $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. That's all you really need for a car. All right. Now, I know what you're thinking, Tommy, but what about my investments? The answer is you'll be able to invest more later on when that actually comes into play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about. I've seen a video by you recently where it was like talking about the same situation. Like, what about that interest that my investments are going to be? And I was like, I don't want to sell my investments. Yeah. I don't want that interest, but then
it's FOMO, like, fear of missing out.
If I sold my investments, I could pay off a big portion of that credit card. That's another thing.
But I don't want you to pay the credit card right with that money. Here's why. You could do that.
Don't do that.
But then the big problem is, for example, that you still have this car. Most likely, you're not going to fully break even on this car. That's what worries me a lot, right? So you're gonna have a balance left over. So, but I want you to get your butt on a vehicle because I'm guessing you drive to work or you're gonna live in a place where you gotta drive to go to places like the grocery store and all that stuff. So I want you to get in a car, like $2,000, $3,000 car. That way you can actually be able to move around and so on. Make sure you bought a car before, so make sure that the most important things are taken care of, like the transmission, the battery is good, everything's good, right? Get it checked out before you buy it. Now you got that car, then you use your income to work towards paying off this debt. Very important. Now,
so with the balance difference, because the car, we drive a Camry, so it's only marketed at about 26,000 and some change, and
what?
We owe 42,000. That's the sticker price that came with it. It was only 26,000 was the sticker in the window.
So how did you end up paying $42,000 for this car?
Upside down in many vehicles. I traded I had a 2014 Prius, as we talked earlier. Had a 2014 Prius, and then I bought that in 2015, and then I traded it in for a 2016 Prius that was costing me about $600 a month. And then I traded that in a year later for a Camry hybrid, and then traded that in 2018 for.
When did you buy this house?
We just bought it this year. It's a new build, so we did all.
How much are they going for now?
It's going for $178,500.
And you paid for it?
Yeah,
170,
we used
right?
home loan.
Yeah, but
about $170,000.
Yeah, $170,000. But you said home prices have actually gone up, all right, after completion. Yep. So what are they going for now? Do you know or no?
I know that because they're building several in the area. The ones that are going to be coming up later on in the year and early into 2022, they're the $178,500. But we signed like on the dotted line kind of thing, got all the paperwork and whatnot when it was on the market for $169,500.
Yeah, so it's not a big difference. It's not a big difference. What I thought you were going to tell me is like maybe. Okay, here's the thing. If we, for example, this is just me. What I would do here, right? If I just bought a home for $170,000, it wouldn't make sense to refinance because it's going to cost me money. I can't cash out anything honestly after the closing costs. So that's not a valuable idea. Okay, so that's thrown out. Now, if I have a Camry that's going for like $26,000, but I'm upside down by $42,000, that means, for example, you have this is crazy. You go from $14,000 in debt to somewhere like around $34,000, something like that, right? After you're done selling this car. But do I keep this car and let it devaluate even more? The answer is no. I'm still selling this car, right, to cut my losses now, and I basically go ahead and I sell the car, boom, use that money to pay whatever I owe on it. I still have a balance on it, yes. I still have my credit card debt, yes. I still have the collections, yes. But now, for example, I use my investment money, which is $2,000 plus my $600 plus some extra savings here and there to buy me. By the way, why do you need a car for? Just to move around and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, basic transportation. I drive truck for a living. I don't own the truck. I'm just a company driver.
Yeah.
But my wife will be using it, and then when we want to go, like, to visit family or whatever.
So is it convenience, or is it because when you live in I lived in New York, right, for 5 years. I never needed a car, but I could have a car, for example, for convenience. Do you have good public transportation, or do you need a car? That's what I'm saying.
I feel like we're gonna need it, especially with the kids on the way. We're gonna need it to take them to and from the doctor and all that stuff, and it's just a convenience, I guess, more or less. With
it is a convenience.
Like in life.
So buy a beater car, right? You buy a beater car. Yeah, $2,000 or $3,000 max. You use that money, you buy that car. Once you're done there, you save $1,000 for emergencies, and then you start working on this debt. That's the biggest thing here. Now you'll go from 11 months, obviously, because you have $34,000 in debt. You'll be done with this. Because you still have the payments on it. You'll be done with this potentially in 28 months. That's around 2.5 years, something like that.
All right.
Now.
So what happens with the difference on the vehicle then? I've never really sold a vehicle just to.
You have to talk to the person that the bank that actually has, for example, your title. So you got to tell them about what's going on. And when you talk to these people, you have to make yourself seem like you're going crazy or something like that. I have kids on the way. My job is unstable. I'm not going to be able to make these payments. I don't want to get repo or anything crazy. I just want to sell this car, cut my losses, and make the payments how I can. Right?
Okay.
Because if you make it seem, for example, I need more information on this stuff too myself, but if you make it seem, for example, like you just don't want to pay anymore, and maybe they can put things for you very difficult, just make it seem like you can't pay. When you have a lender and you have a borrower, and the borrower say I can't pay, the lender tries to do whatever they can do to make sure that they get their money back. Right? So whether that means return the car, you cut your losses there, you have a balance left over, but you buy a used car that's actually yours, and you start making those payments, that's fine. You still use the same math here. It's still the same avalanche method, meaning you pay the debt that charges you the most interest, and you pay the minimum on everything else. If they put a minimum payment, for example, on the collections, or for example, the car payments, you pay the minimum, but pay the most money towards, for example, the credit card debt, or the debt with the highest APR. That's gonna save you more money mathematically. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So once you're done with the debt, save for emergencies. Once you're done there, you start investing 10-20% into your retirement while you're paying all the extra money left over into, for example, the mortgage to pay it off faster. By that point, it'll be maybe like 2 to 3 years though. So it's like it's a story for tomorrow, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That
Now,
makes sense.
yeah. Now, one thing I want to ask you though, because I have a cousin. He lives in New Jersey. He's also a trucker, but he makes $6,000 per month. So, okay? So, are you able, for example, to use your expertise to earn more money, to raise your income?
I could run a few extra 100,000 miles or so throughout the year. They only require me to do 10,000 minimum per month to keep the benefits and to essentially keep my job. And so I try to go a little bit above the 10,000. Sometimes I'll do 11, but most days it's like.
How many hours do you work per week?
Some weeks, on average, it's looking about 60 hours per week on average.
Is your work day Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday?
It's 24 around the clock. It's the trucking over the road stuff. So
okay,
I don't really have a Monday through Friday schedule.
So it's like eight and a half hours, something like that, almost per day, almost. If you have like some heavier days.
10, I usually 10.
Oh, so 10. So that's like 6
really
days.
Heavy. Yep. Yeah. Some days are heavy. Some days are 12 hours, 13 hours.
Mm-hmm. So I would consider, for example, this is tough, man. On my off days, I get some extra hours in, and then use that money to try to get debt free faster. But if you don't mind, for example, and you have, by the way, because it's all based on time, right? You already have a property, you're going to be able to make those payments, which is fine. But if you want to actually finish this even faster, you clock in some more hours to finish off this debt faster, so you're kind of like less stressed out, which is fine. But if you don't mind finishing off, for example, in 3 years, then that's also fine. Nothing crazy. But it is 3 years though. If you're able to increase your income from $3,300 per month, for example, to $4,500 per month, that can make a big difference. Because now you go from $1,200 in payments to an extra $1,000 per month also that you can make. You finish off in, that's $2,200. You owe $34,000 divided by $2,200. You'll finish somewhere like around in 15 months. So it's like, so you sacrifice some now, and by the time before your kids turn 2 years old, this whole debt thing is going to be a memory of the past.
Good deal. And I do also, my wife and I, we do give to our church as well, and that's in our budget. The 10% tithe, we do that.
Yeah, so you should have told me that, because the math is different that way.
Oh.
So
sorry, there's a lot of financial stuff within.
No, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. So don't worry about it. All right. Don't complicate it or make it seem too tricky. It's not a lot. It's just you changing the four main things from shelter, utilities, or grocery transportation. You just add, for example, your tithe. That's it, 10%. That's fine. Okay. Right? You tithe at the top, so that means that's just a difference of $333. So it'll take you a little longer, but the extra hours, you'll still be done pretty fast. It's a sacrifice.
Okay.
That's all it is. All right. But what you have in front of you is just a little road, right? Because you're 27, right? Yeah.
27, yep.
So, before 30, this is all done.
Perfect.
Makes sense?
Looking at those debts, it's monumental, and I'm like, there's no way we're ever going to pay this off. It's going to take 6 to 7 years.
You will if you get rid of this car, and then you stop buying trash. Okay. One question. You spoke to me about the benefits they give you as long as you do the minimum 10,000. Is it 10,000 miles per month?
10,000 per month. Yep.
Yeah. So what are those benefits?
Medical, dental, vision, life insurance, disability,
Good. That's all I care about. Yeah, disability. Because if something goes wrong with you, I want to make sure that your family is safe and everything is solid. Okay?
Yeah, and it covers me and my wife.
Yeah. And once think about this, right? Because sometimes you're in this mix, and before we run out of time here, I just want to give you a little light here. You're in this mix right now. 3 years from now, 2.5 years from now, you're done with all this debt stuff, and you sacrifice, which is fine. We all do that. But the big thing is, beyond that, think about when you're investing, when you're done with this house, and then when you can actually go ahead and say, hey, I drive a truck for this company, but what if I buy the truck and then basically just have somebody else drive it? And now, for example, I'm the employer and they're the employee. And now I can have more time on my hands. Make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So just write things down, but focus on the basics. Make a budget with the necessities. So that's shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation, and lastly, the tithing, 10% at the top.
All right.
That's all you have to do.
All right.
Whatever money is left over, it all goes towards debt using the avalanche method. You got to talk with the dealer. Say, hey, I can't make these payments. What can we do about this? Can I return this car? Do whatever you can to return this car. You sell the investment that you have if you're willing to do that. Remember, you will be taxed at the end of the year, most likely, potentially. Not really, because you have kids now, so that's going to offset your taxes. But and also when those kids are around, you get like the tax credit, so you can always use that money also to knock out some debt. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean it. Yep.
Yeah. So just use everything, all the extra income that comes in. Do not use it for an extra flat screen TV, or they need an extra little bed or whatever. No. Use it to get rid of this burden. Once that's rid of, you're able to just have more freedom and just breathe a lot lighter. Make sense?
All right. Makes sense.
All right, brother. Just want to let you know, these are not like a one-time thing. So, Braxton, if you have any questions further on, feel free to schedule a call with me. Calls are still free, by the way, so you can schedule a call for free as many times as always they're available. Okay. Welcome to the long-term team. Take it step by step and put all your plans on paper. It's the best way to achieve your goals. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
You as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So that right there is Braxton, you know, and about to have twins, and now is saying like, hey, Tommy, what the heck am I going to do? You know, and, you know, sometimes, guys, there is no easy answer. Sometimes there is no, I'm just going to try to work a little bit more, you know, although he can work some more. But there's only so many hours that you actually have to work. And there's also a sacrifice of, I just had kids, but I'm not able to spend time with them because I have to take care of all this mess we made. The answer is yes, sacrifice is also a part of this entire game. And if you guys notice, whenever I give advice, I try to put myself in your shoes, because I can say, hey, I'm in Puerto Rico over here, I make X amount of money, and I have no kids, and here's my advice. That's not your situation, so I can't do that, you know? So I gotta put myself in that same exact situation as you're in, and then tell you exactly what I would do if I were you in that situation. Number one thing, stop doing this whole trade-in nonsense with your car. Doing this whole thing, I want a new car, oh, this car, I gotta get the new car, the safer car. Forget about this nonsense. It just makes no sense. So instead of doing that, I'd rather have a rundown. For example, my car is 6 + 1, 7 years old. My car's 7 years old. Is it a rich person's car? No. Do I care? No. Does it run fine? Yes. Is it safe? Yes. Does it save me money? Yes. So that's what you need to care about. Notice what the things you're buying right now are going to do for you in the future. So again, as Braxton right now, my main focus is on, hey, I gotta tackle this debt. I gotta sell this car as fast as possible, although I am upside down. You know, if he had, for example, some equity in this home, potentially a home equity loan, just refinance everything here and there, and potentially he could get, for example, I'll text him right now because I want to make sure he understands this, but he could get, for example, a personal loan to basically offset the car payments if it is going to be, for example, at a lower rate. And that way you can cover the difference, which is going to be somewhere like around, it's such a crazy amount of money, man. The car is worth 20, he owes 42, he'll still be down $22,000. So if he gets a personal loan at a good rate right now, for example, that's lower than this car, he's able to actually do this whole process and then just buy a little car for cash. And then his wife moves around, he moves around. That's the big thing, you know? A big sacrifice is basically whenever somebody needs to move around, they use an Uber, you know? But then again, that could add up to a lot of money depending on how frequently they're actually moving around and so on and so on. But that's the overall idea. Where's my table thing? Okay, here it is, okay? Muhammad Ali, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. That's the whole concept here. There is suffering involved right now, but the light is brighter at the end of the tunnel. If that makes sense, I hope you took it, okay? But that's the whole idea. Take things step by step. Have a budget. Make sure everything's good with that. Then start paying off this debt. Great. The big thing is the change and the shift. Once you buy this $3,000 car, it'll feel different, of course. It's not a brand new Camry 2021 with the Apple CarPlay with the backup camera, but who cares? Who cares? It's your car. You own it. It's yours. No payments on it. That's the best feeling ever. Once you're done with debt after these 3 years, Braxton, I promise you, you'll be tired by the end of it, but you'll be so glad you did this whole process and you actually made it all the way to the end. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. And by the way, I love hearing people about tithing. You might say, Tommy, maybe you should pause tithing. The answer is I say no. If you have that tithing thing that you have to do, and by the way, I'm about to start tithing, you know, because I'm also in the process of accepting God and all that amazing things. So yeah, step by step, you know what I mean? But so, hey guys, I got some new information after that call with Braxton because something about it just made me go back and back and back and say, hey, what could I have done better to actually help Braxton even better? Now, the overall idea is that most likely, whenever you have a loan like this of this magnitude of like $42,000, and this is, for example, being rolled over to a car, most likely sometimes, okay, the lender is not going to release the title to the person wanting to buy it. So you're stuck having to write the check for the difference. So in this case, the big option is, for example, well, if I owe $42,000 on this car, but I can sell this car, for example, for $20,000, that means I have a balance over of $22,000, right? I think because he has overall in car debt, if I'm not mistaken, let me just go back to my notes here. I'm always taking notes, by the way. Yeah, overall in car debt, he has $42,000, which means I will leave him off with $22,000 left. Now, the idea is here, potentially, he could go ahead and get a personal loan for that amount of money. But Tommy, you're telling him to go into debt. No, I'm telling him to switch over the debt. So this way he is able to get rid of this car. Because the idea is, this is such a messed up thing, by the way. Why would they approve him for stuff like this? But the thing is that basically, if he sticks with this car while he's paying off his debt, it'll take him, for example, 2 to 3, 4, 5 years to be done with it. And by that time, that car is gonna be worth nothing, basically. He's buying a new car when he can't afford a new car right now. And that's the main problem here. So the idea is, if you go from, I think, by the way, personal loan rates are ranging from, for example, from 3% all the way up to 14% and sometimes even 20%. But again, because Braxton is actually, for example, I think his name is Braxton, right? Yeah, Braxton is actually, for example, a VA veteran. He could be able to actually secure, for example, with a credit union, potentially a lower rate. And then he can use that money, for example, to then go ahead and clear the remaining balance of that car note, which that means he's done with the car note. He's had, for example, like the personal loan, the credit card, and the collections, and he's able to go ahead and buy a car for cash, which means no more crazy car payments, but also means no more having to worry about a devaluated asset, okay? That's the main thing, because as he's not paying it off, it's like he's owing more and more money, and the asset is just worth less and less and less and less and less and less. That's the main problem. It's the opposite with the house, because as he pays down the house continues to appraise and appraise and appraise in value later on in life. That's the idea, and that's the main problem. Now, that's what I wanted to mention right here in this video before I actually left you guys, okay? So that's it. Hopefully this helps. Yeah, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. If you want to call me directly, join these calls, by the way. They're still free. So the link is down below. Schedule a call today. On top of that, also, if you want to DM me right here on Instagram. I'm Tommy Bryson. On top of that, also, here's another video here. And click my face right here. And as always, peace.